everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Temi D. On this channel I film about family, faith, friendship, relationship, teens, and a whole bunch of stuff. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I post new videos. So today I'm going to be talking about my experience living in Canada, Nigeria, and the US. Welcome back. I grew up in Nigeria. I was born and raised in Nigeria. Got married. I moved to marry my husband. My husband was living in Canada. I moved to Canada and it was cold. Man, from living in Nigeria to living in Canada, it was like day and night. The first winter I experienced in Canada wasn't too bad. Then the next one, there was like, oh my goodness, it was such a shock. There was so much snow. Every time I woke up, snow everywhere. So I just really didn't like it. So I just said, okay, I will try to live with this, try to enjoy, try to make the best of it. But I just couldn't, I didn't just feel at home with all the cold and stuff that was going on there. So I decided after, I think it was in 2008 with the recession, I had completed my MBA. So I decided that this would be a good opportunity. I had been hearing about all this growth and development going on, the emerging middle class in Nigeria. I was excited. I was talking to my friends in the bank, my friends all over were telling me, things are changing, things are improving. Nigeria is the place to go. The banks are doing well. Investors are coming in, foreign companies are coming in to invest in Nigeria, and it has just changed from where you left it about 8 years ago. So I was excited. I got a job. I was happy. I wanted to go back. And then when I got back to Nigeria, it wasn't what I was expecting. First of all, there was still the power issues, man. There will be like power like sometimes you will not have power from NEPA. It's called NEPA for a lot of days, and food will just go bad. Roads were bad. You were just always running the generator 24/7, and this is for those people who can even afford to have generators and buy diesel or gas into their generators. It was always blasting generators where we were living. Everybody was just blasting or pressing each other with the sounds of their generators. And then when you wake up around, like say 5 a.m. in the morning, you will just hear this quietness because everybody has been running their generators all night and they've decided that enough is enough. And then I'll wake up in the morning, get ready for work. We had serious issues with the water. Everybody was drilling boreholes and the water wasn't even good. And my experience again was that, the houses, when they were renting houses, not like when you are in North America, when you want to rent a house, you rent the house, there's fridge, there's cooker. You don't have to worry about gas. Gas is piped in. But in Nigeria, we had to start getting gas cylinders all over the place. We had to get a pumping machine. We had to get water treatment. The house that we rented when I first moved back to Nigeria was empty. No fridge. No fridge, no gas cooker, no nothing. So we had to do a lot of work to refurbish that house. So it was just so challenging, and I was like, oh my goodness, I thought things had changed, but it was still the same old. With all these issues and unrest and the NSAS protests, I just thought to myself that, wow, things really didn't get better from all those years. I remember growing up in Nigeria in the 1970s when we had the oil boom. The quality of education was good. The hospitals were good because me and my one of my siblings was born in Nigeria, and the quality of the hospital was top notch. Our primary schools, it was very good. Our teachers were good. We had some Ghanaian teachers while we were growing up. But then by the time we came back, we will see all the schools, they had gone bad. The quality of education in the schools were not as good as they were, and people had started building all these private schools, right? So the private schools were really competing with the public schools. Public hospitals were not good. So one experience I had that made me think that, oh my goodness, this country is not where I want to grow up or raise my kids. Happened. Like, because I had a choice, right? If you don't have a choice, that's it. That's why our leaders really have to wake up and fix that country. Because if you don't have a choice of where to go, what do you do? But if you have a choice and you have somewhere to go, man, I would rather check out. So what happened? That reminds me of that Andrew commercial that we grew up listening to. Andrew checking out of the country. There was a lot of construction where I was living in when we moved back. So I would just lie down on the couch and, you know, because of power, open the windows. So I was inhaling a lot of dust. So that dust kind of settled in my nose and I had runny nose for months. So when I went to the hospital, to the clinic, they told me that I had allergies. I was like, allergies? How can I have allergies at this point in my life? So they gave me this they told me it was rhinitis. I was like, what is that? What does that even mean? So I kept on taking that pill and it wasn't getting better. So rather than it kept getting worse, and I was having this serious sinus pains. I was having serious sinus pains. So it came to a point where it just wouldn't stop. The nose just wouldn't stop running. It just kept running up to a point where I was in so much pain, and they said they had to do a scan. So I went to one place where they do scans, and they had said they were going to charge me 30,000 naira for the scan, right? And I thought to myself at that point, 30,000 naira for a scan, 30,000 naira was more than some people's monthly salary, right? Although the company I was working for was going to cover the expense, right? They were going to pay for it, but they said, let me pay out of pocket first, and then we'll reimburse you. So my heart just went out to all those people who were earning minimum wage. Some people maids were earning like 10,000 naira. And here was a scan that I had to do that was going to cost me 30,000 naira. I had lived in Canada. Canada, you have the universal health care, which is amazing. If there's anything I really like about Canada, is the universal health care. Like my first 2 kids, I had them in Canada and I didn't pay a dime. So I really appreciate that universal health care that Canada provides for its citizens. And so this was like really, really alarming to me that I was going to have to pay 30,000 naira, more than some people's salaries, more than driver salaries, more than maid salaries, just to get the scan done. But good thing I had health insurance and it was reimbursed, right? So that passed. After I did the scan, they said, oh, I had to do a surgery. So I had to do like I call it nose job. I tease my kids and I call it nose job. So this particular surgery that I had to do it at a hospital. I'm not going to mention the name, but one of the top hospitals in Nigeria, right? And by the time I got to that hospital, do you know the first thing they told me was that there were no beds? This was a scheduled surgery that I had to do. They told me there were no beds and that I should wait. So I waited, and later they came and they said they had found a bed for me. So after I had done the surgery, I had a bad experience with one of the nurses that had given me an injection instead of giving me a tablet for the issue I was facing after the surgery process. They had packed my nose and all that because my nose had to be drained because of the sinus blockage. So in that hospital, construction was going on and they kept pounding. And this was me after my surgery. My head was hurting like crazy. The food was so bad. And this was one of the top hospitals in Nigeria. And the quality of the food was nothing to write home about. So eventually I got this very good. The doctor was actually very, very good. He was very good. And that was one of the reasons I said, you know what? I've had it. If I have a choice to leave this country, which I did, but I didn't like the cold in Canada. So fortunately, I got the opportunity to move back to the US. And that was really, really exciting. So comparing Canada, US, and Nigeria, because I've lived in those 3 countries in the last, I think, 20 years of my life. I've lived in Canada, I've lived in Nigeria, I've lived in the US. My pros and cons for each country. For Canada, my pro will be the universal healthcare, which I loved. Friendliness. Canadians can be friendly. I think they're friendly people. They're caring. There's less discrimination in Canada, I would think. I think so, but I'm not sure. And in the cold was a con for me. I didn't like the cold at all. Some days will be so snowy, like really like 6 inches of snow right there, just a lot of snow dumped on your car, and you have to scoop it. And that was why I decided that if I'm going to come back to the North America, it would have to be a warm area. For Nigeria, let me see, my pro will be I enjoyed Nigerian parties. Nigerians know how to throw good parties. They just throw really lavish parties where you eat and dance, like the weddings, the engagements. I just love them, right? But the con for me will be, and I love the warmth. I love the fact that some parts were really green, which was exciting. I love that. And I love our culture, actually. I love the dressing. I love the Ankara. I love the colorfulness. I love the gele. I love the brides where the brides are dressing for the traditional wedding. I just love that. And I love the music. Oh man, I love Nigerian music. I love it. I love that we have a lot of talent in the music industry. So that's something I really love about Nigeria. And the con for me for Nigeria will be the quality of education. Even when you pay so much money for schools and you don't get good quality education, the power issue was something that I just couldn't. It was hard for me. Like a couple of days before I finally decided that I was leaving, we had not had power for like 4 or 5 days, and the food had gone bad. We had been running generators, so we were actually counting down. So that would be a con for me. The roads, the bad roads, spoiling your car. Like when I first got there, my car was cracked all over. Okada drivers all over the place, just driving crazy, just scratching your cars and all that stuff, right? So that was something that I didn't like. And then my pro, I like the US. Out of the 3 countries, Canada, Nigeria, and the US, my favorite, I will say, is the US, because I love the weather here. I love the fact that America is so huge that you can have warm regions, you can have cold regions, so you can actually decide which you want. You can either live in a very warm area like Texas, South Carolina, Georgia. Those are warm regions where you can live. And Minnesota is cold. If you want the cold, you can live in Minnesota. And then what I really like, I really like the US. The only thing I don't like is some negativity about police brutality that I hear, the gun issues, the gun control issues and stuff like that. Those are things that scare. When you hear a lot of shootings, you hear a lot of negative things about shooting, about, you know, gun control for me is something that scares. That is the most scary thing I find in the US. All right, so my favorite place of the 3, I would say, is the US. Okay, when it comes to medical, like in the US, if you don't have health insurance, it's hard. But there are ways around. I'm not going to lie and say if you don't have medical insurance, you're doomed. Some people don't have medical insurance. Like the best way to get medical insurance in the US is from your job. If you have a job, then you can be covered in your medical insurance. But in Canada, whether you have a job or not, as a citizen, you get the universal health care. In the US, on the other hand, if you get a good job, you get your health insurance comes with the job. But if you don't have a job, you can still go. They will never refuse you treatment, even if you don't have health insurance and you go to the hospital. They will treat you, and then, you know, they won't turn you back. So that's a good thing about the US that I like. Talking about education in the US, you have the public school systems that are very, very well funded. Some of these public school systems in the US, even the structure, the building, the facilities, the teachers, they're so good. And you think, this is public schools we're talking about. Hospitals are good. hospitals. I don't know, now that we have COVID, we had health issues, you know, but the hospitals are generally very, very good. The dental facilities are very, very good, but you have to pay for them. In Canada, the hospitals are good. Like if you have a job, you can have additional health insurance. Like if you had a baby and you don't have any insurance, you would probably stay in a shared room or something. But if your job is providing you with health insurance, then you can stay in your single room, you know. But when I had my baby in Canada, I used a midwife and I went home the very same day, so which was good. All right, so I just thought I would talk about my experience living in Canada, Nigeria, and the US, given all the issues going on around the world. Granted, there's no place like home, but you know, I just wish that our country will be a better place. I believe that change has come, and I just pray that our country will be somewhere where we can just decide that I want to go home. I really want to go home and just go, and not be scared of SARS, not be scared of theft, of armed robbery, of gun violence and stuff like that, you know. So that's my prayer for Nigeria. I just pray that the country, the politicians will wake up and do better for the youth of the country. You know, in my days, back in the 70s, back then, I'm not trying to disclose my age, but back in the 70s, we had the oil boom and things were good. And to think that we are now even importing refined oil, that all our refineries are broken down, that is just something that is sad, you know. We had cocoa when we were growing up, and that was a natural resource that you know, chocolates, everybody knows about chocolates, right? If you can use cocoa, you can process it into chocolates, process it into beverages, process it into different things, you know. That is something that we could have taken advantage of. We had palm oil. That is something we could have developed. We had pineapple. We had cashew. That's something we could have developed, but did we? We didn't develop all those things. We just allowed all those things to rot. We allowed our refineries to rot. We allowed our educational system to rot. We just, you know, nobody really cared about the country. But here, as hard as it might be, people actually care. We have people who care about the quality of education in the public schools, which are still good. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel today. Please don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you. Bye.